Hi everyone, Brian from Variable Traders here. The weekend, May 18th, and I hope everyone is having a good weekend. This, of course, is the weekend video. I'll go over, as usual, what happened last week in the markets. I did say I thought the bulls were in control, and they certainly proved it again this week. And then we'll take a look ahead and see what we got coming up. NVIDIA is reporting on Wednesday. Certainly that's going to be one of the highlights of the coming week, but there'll be some other things that we can watch too. So let's get down to it. So starting out as always, we'll do a quick review of what happened last week. We had PPI data and CPI data coming out on Tuesday and Wednesday. PPI data was a little hotter than expected, but the CPI data was a little bit weaker than what traders and investors were expecting. So that was good news on the inflation front, kept the hope of a rate cut later this year still alive. And again, buyers were in control in the week overall. You can see all the indexes are up, including the Dow, which broke through 40,000, but all three indexes, Dow, Q, and SPY, all made all-time highs during the week. So quite the week for the indexes and the bulls. Technology was one of the leaders. Real estate was good too. Industrials was the only sector that was just slightly down on the week. Treasuries, the treasury yields pulled back a little bit on the weaker than, or at least the lower CPI data and weaker jobs numbers. And look at that, the US dollar pretty much flat on the week. And Bitcoin, there was a real risk on week as Bitcoin ripped, and along with some of the commodities that we'll take a look at here in a few minutes. So good week overall for the bulls. Okay, so before we go on here, I always like to do a quick plug for my books that are available on Amazon. You can see them there, Profiting as an Active Trader, How to Swing Trade, my oldest book, and my latest book, How to Trade Options. And you'll notice I do talk a lot about options trades in the room here or on the video as well. So if you want to check those books out, they are available for sale. So let's get down and look at some charts here. And as usual, let's start out with the treasuries. You can see here the yields coming off those highs, and especially after some of the CPI data and labor market data that we got this week. Rate cuts look more likely at the end of the year. Everybody is hoping. Still, there's really a sort of a mixed opinions on whether we actually are going to get cuts, but a lot of people still seem to think we're going to get 2 or 3 in there. So you can see here in the 10-year dropped as well. So again, reflection that maybe the treasury market is looking forward to some rate cuts as we get into the back half of the year here. The transports are struggling a little bit here. I guess people are thinking the economy is on the weak. Economy is not improving, maybe getting a little weaker, which would of course help with the rate cuts as well. And so now we're going to get into some of the indexes here, and you can see here the Dow breaking out. That was the previous high right there, and we broke through 40,000 on Thursday. Couldn't stay above it, but then we did find some legs, and Walmart helped with that one as well, as they came out with some really good earnings and kind of blew the cover off the ball and helped push the Dow back over 40,000 for a close there. And you can see here how we closed on the week, up into all-time high territory. The Qs, again, nice push up this week, a little bit of struggling Thursday and Friday, but again, we finished well off the low of the session on Friday. So still looks like the bulls are in control here, and you can see we are breaking out on the weekly as well on the Qs. And here's the SPY again, broke out Wednesday, a little bit of a topping action there. Thursday, Friday, we pulled back a bit. Didn't even quite get back to retesting this breakout level. So be watching that. I mean, it'd be interesting if it actually did test this level, and that would be, if it did hold above this level, that would be very bullish. But if we just continue going higher, that's going to be fairly bullish as well, obviously. Q's breaking out to all-time high. Volumes haven't been great on these breakouts, but doesn't mean we can't continue to go higher. The IWM, still looking for that breakout. We are pretty close. Got some nice moves early in the week, pulled back a little bit on Friday on some volume here. So again, this 210 level seems to be a challenge for IWM. Of course, it'll be the big beneficiary if we do get some rate cuts. So watch for that continued move higher especially if rate cuts look more and more likely. The VIX is really just right down back to where we were almost a year ago in terms of volatility. There's just no fear in the market of anything happening. The dollar was pretty much flat on the week, even though we did have a bit of a rate decline. Yields declined a little bit, but the dollar overall kind of dropping down there on the weekly. And let's see, as we get into Bitcoin, it was a risk-on week. We had a big move up Tuesday. Wednesday, then Thursday had another move higher. So we're threatening to break out here. This has been resistance before this level, sort of 67,000. So we'll see if we can challenge that next week. As you can see here, maybe a bit of a flag for a setup to move higher here. And that's the way the week went. Okay, so let's look at some current positions and some trades I did last week. Some of them based off of what I was looking at the week before. I covered in my video. So GDX, this is the position I've been in for some time now. Gold has been making a move higher. We managed a little breakout here, and we really are, if we zoom in here, or zoom out, I should say, go way back out. We are really breaking out here on gold, and continues to look higher, like it's going to move higher. So quite happy with that trade to stick with it. URA, this is a new one I initiated this week. This is uranium. It does seem to be breaking out here. Let's wait for this to load. And here is uranium. And you can see here we've got a breakout going on here on Friday. There was some news about Russian ban on Russian imports of uranium, which is going to help all local suppliers. So companies like CCJ, Cameco, it's a Canadian uranium company, which is a big holding in URA. URA is a good way to play uranium because it's not sort of based on just one company. It's based on a number of companies. So this one I'm going to probably hold for a while unless the mood changes on uranium. Google was another position I got on here. It really started to break out here, and you can see here that it just broke out on Friday, and broke out, or not Friday, it broke out back on Wednesday, and just continues to push higher here on their AI stuff, I think, is what's driving this. Apple was a trade I did this week. I actually was looking at this last week for a trade, so I did sell some downside puts, and Apple really kind of, I sold some 185s, sort of as this started to break out here, and just kept them, and they expired worthless. And it's getting up into a range here where it's probably going to churn around, but Apple looking good. I've been watching this for weeks. I did finally enter a position on Ethereum. Sorry for the slow loading on this. You can see here we're starting to break out here. So Ethereum, I used a Canadian ETF. I'm not trading this particular, but I'm liking the way this is starting to set up here. So I've got a stop on this trade, this ETF, that's probably going to reflect if we drop below 2,900 again. And but I think it's going to start to move up now. So like I said, I've been stalking that for a couple weeks. Finally entered that this week. NVIDIA, I'm long. I'm not sure if I'm going to hold this through earnings. It looks like we're kind of toppy here, so I think there's maybe minimal upside risk, and I don't think there's a lot of downside risk, but you never know with earnings how people are going to react to them. If they, just barely beat, it might be a disappointment. So still have to decide whether I'm going to continue to hold that. And BA was, as you know, I've been holding some calls on this, 260 calls, which are way up here. They expire in August. I don't think we're ever going to get there. Keep trying to get out of them because they're worth only 30 or 40 cents. I'm just keep throwing in a low bid there until somebody takes it. And the other trade I did 175s. I sold 175 puts because it just looks like we're holding this level above here, and we started to break out Friday. Those puts expired worthless as I was short them, and we got a nice move, and so I'll look to put that trade on next week as well, probably. Finally, let's take a look at some stuff that I am looking at for next week. I think this could be definitely a decent long-term trade. I'm liking TLT. This is kind of an ETF that tracks the long bonds, and if you believe the Fed really want to cut rates. You can hear it every time Powell sort of steps up to the mic. He really wants to cut rates, and I think this is going to happen towards the end of the year. So if you want to make a bet on that, I would say you could buy TLT, sell some puts, and buy some calls if you want to play it with options. You could also just buy some ETFs that hold long-term bonds, and bond price will go up if yields go down. So this will go up if TLT will go up if the yields continue to drop here, especially on the long end. So I think it's a possibility that this will continue to go higher. So I will be probably putting on some positions, and I already hold some bonds now that are already up a bit. So that's one trade that I'm looking at, sort of a longer term trade. Disney, I'm watching still. There's a gap here. Wait for it to reload. There is a gap here on Disney. You can see it's right here. And it's right around $100, which is a nice even number. If we continue to drop here on Disney, you can see the big drop after earnings. If we continue to come down here, I think this is a real logical point for a pretty significant bounce, or at least a hold level. So stocks usually like to fill these gaps, and I think there's a possibility that if it does get down under $100 or close to $100, it will be a good long, at least for a short-term trade, and maybe even longer term. BA, I will look to play this again. I think there's a nice bid under BA. Even the bad news seems to be priced in, and even more bad news doesn't seem to be impacting it. So I think it's probably going to continue up here, and possible level right up in this area, sort of 195-ish is where it could be headed, right around 194, 193, 195, some area like that. So any number of ways to play that. You can just play it long. You can sell puts. You can sell puts, buy calls. You can buy call spread by buying sort of a 190 and then maybe selling a 195 or 200 to lower the price of that. So lots of ways to play that for a continued move higher. And BA, or Netflix, I should say. Netflix I've been playing every Friday. That's with options. This is the great thing about options. Yeah, I think 630 looks like a level. So again, I did the same trade that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks, waiting for the market to open and settle out, and then just selling. This week I sold 630 calls on Friday. They were going to expire at the end of the day, so I just said I had to stop on them just to make sure I didn't get it didn't rip higher and put me in a very bad position, or at least a losing position. So again, went out on the week, and I just end of the day, and I just kept the 630 premium. So I'll be looking to do that again, because I think Netflix is kind of back up into this range here, and I think it's going to be stuck there for some time. I won't be trading that early in the week. I'll just wait till Friday again, where we get the 0 DTEs, and I can control my risk and put in a nice, fairly tight options trade there on Friday. So that's it for some of the stuff I will be watching. Obviously, NVIDIA, definitely watching on Wednesday, and Snowflake will be another one that'll be reporting after on Wednesday. So those will be two interesting trades to watch for next week. And that's it. And so let's put a wrap on this. What do we got to look forward to here? May 20th, the week of. Here's your index levels. Again, some new highs here. And so I had to sort of project out in terms of where resistance might be. But yep, the bulls are still in control, it seems, and the sellers are still hanging out on the sidelines. So as far as economic events go, we're doing a lot to look forward to this week. We do have some existing home sales and some new home sales Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Some consumer sentiment, but the big one, and I'm throwing this into economic events because NVIDIA has really been at the forefront of this whole AI move, which I think has accounted for a lot of the moves in the indexes and the semiconductors especially. So it's going to be reporting after the close on Wednesday, throwing that into economic events. But we do have some other companies that are reporting. Palo Alto Networks and Zoom. There'll be some interesting retailers. We've got Lowe's, Target, TJX, and as I said, NVIDIA and Snow. Toll Brothers, Home Builder, which have been good. BJ's and Ross, again, some retailers. So it's going to be an interesting week, and hold on to your hats because this will move the markets for sure, whichever way we go on NVIDIA after the report for around, I believe it's 4:05. So that's it, everybody. Join us live on YouTube, 8 o'clock, pre-market show and BBT. And then, of course, we'll be trading the market open, and we've been leaving the YouTube people on who aren't members to watch us trade the open. So look forward to seeing you there Monday morning. Cheers, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend.